Quick question, what time did you fall asleep last night? If you're like most people I talk to, your answer probably sounds something like, late, later than I should have. I meant to be in bed by 11, but it was closer to 1. And if I asked you why, you'd probably say something familiar. Work ran long, couldn't wind down. The evening is the only time that actually belongs to me. All of that is real. I'm not here to dismiss it, but here's what I want to do today. Something a little different from the usual, you should sleep more conversation. I want to answer a harder question. What time does the data say you should fall asleep, if minimizing long-term mortality risk is the goal? Not what feels healthier. Not what the wellness industry recommends. The actual number from actual longitudinal data on actual death rates, because it turns out there is a specific answer, and it might be earlier than you think. Dongfeng Tongji cohort study, one of the largest long-term health tracking studies in China, following over 100,000 adults for more than a decade, looked at sleep onset time and its relationship to all-cause mortality. What they found was a U-shaped curve. Let me explain what that means because it's important. A U-shaped relationship means it's not simply earlier is always better. It means there's a window, a sweet spot, and falling outside that window in either direction is associated with higher risk. Too late. Elevated risk. Too early, before 10 p.m., also not the lowest risk zone. The lowest risk window? 10:01 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's it. That's the data's answer. Sleep onset in that 1-hour window was associated with the lowest all-cause mortality in this cohort, and critically, this held up as an independent variable. Controlling for sleep duration, wake time, age, and other factors, the timing itself still predicted long-term risk. The time you fall asleep is not just a lifestyle preference, it's a health variable with measurable consequences. Most people think about the cost of late nights in immediate terms: tired the next day, foggy in the morning, a few extra coffees, then you bounce back, and the debt feels paid. But this is the most expensive misunderstanding about sleep. The damage from late sleep timing isn't felt the next day. It accumulates quietly, the way financial losses compound when you're not watching. Here's the mechanism. And it's not complicated. Your body runs on a circadian clock. This isn't a metaphor. It's a literal biological timing system that synchronizes organ function, hormone release, immune activity, and cellular repair to a 24-hour cycle anchored to light and darkness. When you push your sleep onset consistently late, you're not just shifting the schedule, you're disrupting the sequence. Deep sleep, which concentrates in the early hours of the night, is when your brain clears metabolic waste, including the proteins associated with cognitive decline. Growth hormone, which governs tissue repair and muscle maintenance, surges during early sleep cycles. The cardiovascular system drops into its recovery mode during specific windows that are timed to your circadian rhythm, not to whenever you happen to lie down. Late sleep doesn't delay these processes. It compresses them, fragments them, or in some cases, skips them entirely. One late night, you feel it the next morning and move on. 300 late nights, 1,000, over a decade. Your body doesn't send you a single dramatic warning. It gives you slower inflammation, resolution, creeping metabolic drift, gradually less stable mood regulation, and a cardiovascular system that never quite gets its full recovery window. That's what the data is actually measuring when it shows elevated mortality risk in late sleepers. Not one bad night. The compound effect of 1,000 of them. There's a specific type of person I want to address, the person who stays up late not because they're partying, not because of a chaotic schedule, but because the night is the only time that feels like theirs. The day belongs to work, to family, to obligations, but after 11 p.m., the house is quiet, the demands stop. You can finally just exist without performing for anyone. I understand this completely, and I'm not going to tell you that feeling is wrong, but I want to offer a reframe. The way you're currently protecting your time is gradually reducing the total amount of time you'll have. This is not moralizing, this is arithmetic. Every night you spend your recovery window on screen time because it's the only available hour. You're making a trade. You're drawing down the health account in exchange for present moment relief from a life that doesn't give you enough space. The real problem isn't that you stay up late. The real problem is that the rest of your day is structured in a way that makes late nights feel necessary. That's worth solving. But in the meantime, the recovery window still needs protecting. I want to be practical here, not idealistic. I'm not suggesting you become someone who's in bed by 9 p.m. I'm not telling you to restructure your entire life overnight. I'm not adding sleep to the list of things you need to feel anxious about managing perfectly. One line, that's all. In bed by 11 p.m. Not asleep. In bed. Horizontal, phone down, lights off, or dim. You don't need to fall asleep instantly. You don't need to hit some optimal sleep score. You just need to put your body in the position where recovery is possible, within the window where the timing works in your favor. Do that for 7 nights. See what shifts. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is to stop actively working against your own recovery system, night after night, year after year, and see what happens when you simply stop cutting the window short. So, what time should you fall asleep? The data says, between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., but the more important takeaway isn't the number, it's the framework behind it. Late sleep isn't a neutral choice. Every night you push past that window, you're making a small withdrawal from the health account. Individually, undetectable. Cumulatively, over years, it shows up in the data. Body dividends compound slowly, so does the erosion. The people who are functioning well at 70 didn't find a sleep optimization protocol at 65. They just stopped treating their recovery window as a flexible resource that could always be borrowed from. One anchor, 11 p.m. Start tonight. If this kind of long game thinking about health is useful to you, subscribe. This is what we do here. And drop a comment. What's actually keeping you up past 11? I'm genuinely curious. See you next week.